I wasn't allowed to have a ding dong. When I came home and I said, I want ding dongs in my lunch. You know what my mom bought me? Low-fat ding dongs.
It doesn't look like it worked. Jillian Michaels, she was known as one of the most popular and top trainers, probably from the early 2000s, because she was on a show called The Biggest Loser. She was known as the trainer that took no from no one, especially fat people. She's gonna yell in your face if you don't do what she tells you to do.
No, no, no! Keep running, get on, 10 seconds, go.
And don't you dare give her some kind of sob story of like, I can't do it, because she doesn't want to get bored that day.
I'm bored with the pathetic story! It bores me!
She's fine. She's on the verge of passing out and probably having some kind of heart attack because she's not used to this kind of working out. But I mean, she got up, only for Jillian to yell at her again.
If you quit on me again, you go home and no one's gonna chase you!
And that's what we millennials would call motivation. Look at her face. She's feeling super empowered.
No one!
Well, in the early 2000s, Jillian Michaels would be very, very much well-liked, and people really loved her no-nonsense type attitude for people who literally needed to change. It was a life and death situation for a lot of these people. Through the years, though, as YouTube grew and people would look back on the show, they would say, Jillian Michaels was a whole
Unless you faint, puke, or die, keep walking!
And then Jillian confessed this bombshell on a podcast that had everyone saying, I knew it.
It did not start out as a show that intended to get great results. It started out as a show very clearly that was intended to humiliate people.
More people would watch the show, more people on YouTube would make documentaries about this show, and even many past contestants would come out and say the show was not about health, it was about entertainment, and that's it.
I was given a caffeine pill.
My organs were literally shutting down.
You can't have a show based on weight loss that's safe.
And so public opinions of Jillian Michaels kind of started going down, especially when she got on YouTube, switched from being fitness and started getting political. I don't watch political commentators at all. I tried in the past and I kind of got the idea of what path they're gonna go down. I just took a quick peek at Jillian Michaels' YouTube page, and I'm guessing by most of her thumbnails, she's a Trump girly. And if not a Trump girl, she's more on the conservative side. She was on Joe Rogan's show for about 2 hours, and just by doing a quick sweep on TikTok, keep in mind these are just very small clips, and I don't know the full story, but I did see clips of her downplaying slavery, and then people said that she has a black daughter. So people have a lot of things to say about Jillian Michaels. They don't agree with her.
Jillian Michaels was like, it's so unfair that slavery in this country only gets blamed on one race.
But this recent interview that she did with Jubilee has everyone saying, you know, I don't like her. But she absolutely annihilated every single person she debated when it comes to obesity. When I first saw the thumbnail of this interview, I literally said, oh, it's pretty much 3 hours. My attention span could never. But then I watched like 5 minutes. Oh, hey Pennywise. But then I watched about 5 minutes of it and I was infatuated. I was at the edge of my seat. Not because it was so intriguing and the debate was so well done. I was hearing both sides and trying to see both perspectives. Not that at all. It was because of the pure stupidity from the opposing side of Jillian Michaels. And you would think that Jillian Michaels would have a very hard time, as it was literally a tag team of Jillian Michaels, one person, against 20 different body positive activists who came ready to win, but they didn't. They failed so hard, and some of them are obese. So you know when an obese person falls, they fall hard, and they did. By the way, just a little warning, I have heard from a little birdie that people who are reviewing this specific video from Jubilee, they have been getting copyright strike after copyright strike after copyright strike. And I made a plan to talk about every single part in the video because I was just like this the whole time. Look at this. I took so many notes, 130 bullet points. I'm sorry, 149 bullet points. So I'm just asking us to take hands and pray to the, Pennywise on the ground. Oh dear Pennywise, please help us not get copyright struck by the people of Jubilee, as we're just trying to add commentary to the video, and that's what YouTube said was okay.
Talk to me about
what you would like to see change.
Diet culture eradicated.
Jillian Michaels versus 20 body positive activists. So the overall question to this one health expert versus 20 body positive specialists, experts. Honestly, watching the whole thing, I don't know if experts or specialists relate to any of them. But the big question is, are Americans fat phobic and obsessed with unrealistic beauty standards, or has the body positivity movement normalized unhealthy habits and lifestyles? But then under that question, Jillian Michaels has about 3 or 4 claims that each of the 20 body positive specialists and experts have to debate her in. And her first claim is,
Obesity is not healthy, and pretending it is puts lives at risk.
once again, you're not on drugs. I'm just trying to not get copyright struck, so I mirror the video to help not get detected. We gotta be sneaky. Now, I'm not exactly sure how or why people would want to debate obesity is unhealthy, but somehow every single person on the panel disagreed with Jillian Michaels, even a nutritionist called Edie. So Edie is an ED therapist as well, and she is all over TikTok being shared because she comes out straight out the gate. Instead of just debating the topic and the claim, she has to say this.
I'm gonna do my best to not use the O word because I find it pretty offensive.
The O word being obesity. We've had our experience here where there was a clan of obese people coming after me and coming after people like my subscribers for using the O word. How dare you! And instead, you're supposed to use, well, go ahead, Edie. Why don't you explain what is more appropriate and wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings at all?
So I'm gonna use fat-bodied.
Fat-bodied. The way that my fupa, boobies, and booty cheeks would flip if someone corrected me when I was bigger and they said, oh, no, don't say obese. You should call yourself fat body. And looking at Edie, she's wearing loose clothes. I don't know exactly what her body looks like, but she doesn't look like she's a big girly. So can you imagine if you were obese and you said the word obese and a thin woman corrected you? See, you can still eat fun things, but just not excessively.
Really? I never thought of it that way.
I mean, a nice walk on a Saturday through town. And look, I even got us a strawberry shortcake from that bakery for us to share.
Oh my god, those are my favorite snacks.
Wait, we don't want to just gobble down food that's just offered to us. We need to think before we eat.
Oh yeah.
Yes, now pull up your food app, add it in, and then we can enjoy a delicious treat. See, these minor little actions can help you get out of the obese category. Oh my God.
Excuse me, as a self-help nutrition and body neutrality specialist, I feel the dire need to correct you on your damaging language and invite you to use a term that's not so harmful or hurtful.
What?
The term that you should be using is extremely fatty, fat. Once again, I want to apologize on this person's behalf for using such horrible verbiage. I know the O word is so hard for you to hear. I would know, as I am an expert with working with extremely flabby fats. Here's my card if you would like to work with professionals that will actually help you with your confidence.
Disgusting. Obese.
Don't you dare.
Oh.
Don't you dare.
Beast.
You did this on purpose. You know what happens when you say that horrible word 3 times?
Yeah, I know.
No, not that word. Another word.
Yeah, that would actually piss me off, Edie. Jillian responds to that and says, obesity just means having an excess amount of body fat that can harm your health.
It has nothing to do with the quality of the person.
It's literally the same thing as a doctor saying that this person has anorexia. It's not saying you're a bad person. It's a medical term, which these people from this community use anorexia all the time, but then obesity comes up and they get their fupas tied in a bunch. I'm gonna start getting mad at people saying, oh, she has an athletic build. No, I'm living in a muscular body. Stupid, come on. Anyway, they go back and forth on the O word for a bit.
Are we gonna debate the claim? Are we gonna pretend like I'm a 3 and you're my mommy?
I might not agree with Jillian Michaels and her other odd statements, but I do agree with this. I cannot stand, and I live in California, okay? People, this is like the liberal of the liberal, but I cannot stand people that try to tell other people like their language, what they're supposed to say, how you have to change a word. Like there's certain words that I don't like. I don't like the N word, but if someone's using it, I can't tell them what to do. That doesn't mean that they're not gonna get consequences, but for me, I can't tell them what language to use, but I have a choice to walk away. If I was debating somebody and they used a word that I didn't like, I'm just going to stick to the topic and beat them at debating while they try to trigger me by using some kind of word. Anyway, they stopped debating on the O word and actually get to the claim. You know, the whole point of the debate. And Edie asks another stupid question.
It's inherently unhealthy to have excess body fat, yes.
Okay, where are you getting that information from?
Doctors, years of studies, my 600-pound life. Honestly, usually I don't look at other people when I'm grocery shopping, but because I've been doing these videos, if you look in an obese person's cart, you can look at what they got in the cart and look at them and say, yep, I see it. This is what you eat.
Abs, big ass belly.
And they're not walking really well. Looks like it kind of hurts. I can look at that and put my put two and two together and think, I don't think that looks great. Just like I can look at Eugenia Cooney. Let's not put her up here because showing the opposite end of the spectrum gets me demonetized for some reason, YouTube. But I can look at her and say, wow, she looks very malnutritioned. That's not healthy either. Anyway, Jillian is kind of like, huh?
Okay. There are dozens of MRT trials that show having excess body fat. Dozens is causal.
I was actually reading a few comments because I think that when it comes to Jillian Michaels, people just don't like her politics very much. And so they can't listen to what she's saying in this debate and they just want to say everything about her and everything she's saying is completely wrong. And I was in a comment section like that, looking at people's comments and people were saying,
Jubilee obviously sided with Jillian Michaels because they kept putting fact checks up right next to her, making the body positive people look stupid.
And that just cracks me up because a fact check doesn't mean anyone is siding with anybody. It's just a fact. So let's look at this fact. And it pretty much says that having high levels of obesity is in fact associated with increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, certain cancers, high blood pressure. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And throughout the whole debate, they put up fact checks for each person. It just so happens that Jillian Michaels was right on every single fact check and the body positive people were wrong. And after Jillian talked about all of the excess things that can happen when you're obese, the therapist says this.
No, that's not true.
So then Jillian starts asking her some questions. Just some basic questions that someone like this who works with people's bodies, who helps them with their bodies, helps them with their food, whatever she does, should probably know.
Have you heard of something called adiposopathy?
And Edie shakes her head, yes, of course, I know what that is. And Jillian's like, okay, what is it? She struggles a lot and then confesses and says,
I'm gonna say this straight out. I am not a medical doctor, okay?
Oh, well, isn't that convenient?
So Jillian starts explaining what it means. Adiposopathy, according to Jillian Michaels, means literally sick fat. Pretty much is when you eat too much food and the energy has absolutely nowhere to go. The fat does not know where to go in the body. So it starts putting it into places where it really shouldn't be, like visceral fat, or in your head, like around the brain. For a visual, Tammy Slayton before she lost all that weight.
Now, the issue is that once you can no longer recruit more fat cells, right? You get hypertrophy.
So then the fat cells start to expand, like how your body's expanding. It all goes hand in hand. So this is extremely dangerous because the blood vessels start to get outpaced. The fat cells can't get oxygen and they start screaming.
When they do, they release cytokines, inflammatory proteins, right?
And as she's explaining this whole process, Edie is like, hold on. No. All of this is harmful.
I want to pause.
Oh, no, of course you do want to pause. Okay. Because it's irrefutable. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
And Edie gets very angry. She does not like the way that Jillian is talking to her. She doesn't like the way that Jillian is explaining things. She doesn't like the stuff that Jillian is saying. I mean, Jillian used the O word. I'm surprised that Edie didn't just sprint out the room from the start of the whole debate.
I don't appreciate the way that you're speaking to me right now.
All she did was explain what the definition of that word was that you didn't know, and you asked her to explain it after you said that you're not a medical doctor. Anyway, she goes back to the O word.
Fat bodies are irreparably harmed going into the medical system every single day because of the term, the O word.
Then Jillian has to kind of guide her back to the prompt because the O word isn't part of the discussion. Who cares about that? The prompt or the claim is being obese or living in a fat body puts you at risk of certain health issues.
The idea that fat-bodied people are inherently unhealthy is, I believe, incorrect.
And then she just starts saying something. Like she literally got up, pulled down her pants, and pulled out like on her hands because she didn't know what else to do.
Intentional weight loss fails 95 to 98% of the time.
Pretty much she's saying everything they say in comment sections when it comes to body positive and fat liberation type posts, but it didn't work on here because they aren't on TikTok. Actually, they put up a fact check, like right next to her face. Let's read it. Pretty much it says there's absolutely no strong evidence to support that universally there's 95 to 98% failure rate to people who lose weight. It does say that research shows that many people regain weight over time, but outcomes vary depending on how success is defined. All in all, it did not support the 95 to 98% failure rate that I see a lot in comment sections on TikTok. These two do end up agreeing that many people who lose weight do put some weight back on, and then Jillian Michaels was trying to explain as to why that would happen. But then, if you notice that people put little red flags up, when I was watching this, they kept putting red flags up quite a bit. And I was like, are they putting red flags up because Jillian Michaels is talking about, I don't know, death by obesity? But no, them putting red flags up means they're actually voting out their teammate because they're not doing a good job and they're making them look bad. And Edie gets voted out pretty quickly.
Voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Next we get to Angela, who like everybody else has to give this very, very long, drawn out background story of their personal experience of being fat.
I have lived in a fat body for like as long as I can remember.
Uh-huh.
And I've known very many fat people.
Okay, let's get to the claim of obesity is unhealthy.
And I don't think any of us, the people that I know, I can only speak to the people that I know.
All right, so about the debate.
I don't think any of us are pretending that we're okay with it.
So after about 2 minutes of her background story about how she also has EDs, the fat people that she knows, their experiences, her experiences while being fat, she actually says that no, carrying extra weight is hard, but
it is. But it must be done.
Why? I personally, let me know if I'm wrong, I had no idea that being fat was mandatory for certain individuals of the public. Like it's a act of service. Like how is this decided? And who is deciding that some people must be fat?
I have decided who it shall be, and the chosen one is you.
Who? Me?
You are the chosen one to complete Fat Lopica.
No, please, I'll do anything.
It's the only way. Voldemort, go forth and complete the prophecy now.
Fat, not slim like a bat. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Now you're fat.
Voldemort, now.
Eat them.
I won't. You can't make me.
The food. Eat it. Eat all of it.
It gets harder and harder every time, my lord. Yes, but it must be done.
I swear, these people make my imagination just run wild. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Anyway, Jillian asks her, why do you think some people must be fat? And her answer just doesn't make sense to me.
Because I've worked really hard to not have this.
And Jillian is also very confused. They go back and forth a little bit and she's asking like, what do you mean by you worked really hard to not have this? And she asks, so did you like go to the gym and like hurt yourself? But then Angela scoffs and says,
no, I don't, that's not fun.
Okay, so what the did you do?
I'm just trying to understand what you mean.
We all are. And it took a little bit of time. After a little back and forth, it turns out that every single exercise, workout, whatever she did, she would just hurt herself really bad.
Even yoga hurts me.
Anyway, Angela takes us back to like her gym class, and she was the kid that could not like run the mile. Like she would be getting lapped. Like she was having a hard time.
I couldn't keep up when the PE teacher would make us like run laps.
So instead of her just saying I was very out of shape, she came up with a different theory as to why she couldn't keep up with the other kids in school, and that is
I grew up with a single parent.
Not only did she grow up in a single parent household, she also said that her parent was undocumented, and so they didn't really have like medical, and so that's why she couldn't keep up in gym class. Maybe she didn't have like a very involved parent that was making her get up and like walk the neighborhood. Even though I had very, very unhealthy eating habits when I was younger, like we had full range to the fridge. I have never been told, not once, that I'm eating too much sugar from like my family or my parents. I always had a full belly. But I did come from an athletic household where we had to wake up in the morning. We were forced to like run a mile. My mom would always wake us up at 5 a.m. to go walk the track in the morning. We did get donuts after every single time, but you know, we were still very active. We rode bikes, hide and go seek, Valley of Death edition. You ever played it? You gotta be able to run and run fast. So maybe she had a parent that wasn't really into all of that. She was probably always working and she was at home eaten. But then Jillian noticed that, well, you only told us about like the workouts that you've tried. What about the most important part when it comes to obesity? The dieting. And as you can guess, it was another excuse.
Dieting, for example. Okay. That doesn't make any sense to me.
And do you know why it doesn't make very much sense to her? It's because she's neurodivergent. And the only thing that makes sense to her is
food makes very much sense to me in my neurodivergent brain.
And Jillian goes into a super deep talk about why it's very important for neurodivergent people to have a structure, to have a very specific diet that will help their, their issues. And I can attest to that because when I was all over the place with my food, I was all over the place mentally. I have to have structure. I have to have a plan, and I like to eat pretty much the same foods every single day. And I like just not having to think about certain things. I just know what I'm gonna eat, and that's that. And it really helped me. Like once I started getting into a routine, my brain felt so much more relaxed rather than just eating hot Cheetos and sandwiches with hot Cheetos in them and dipping that into top ramen noodles after school and then trying to study. And after Jillian explains all of these things about how certain diets will help neurodivergent people and you have to be very strict with that, Angela says, well, no, that's not really true. Because me.
I don't like that.
She just doesn't like it. She even had the little giggle. Yeah, Angela didn't last very long.
You've been voted out by the majority.
2 down, next is Paula, who almost fell over to get to the chair to speak to Jillian Michaels. So Paula is a mental health professional who works with people from a body liberation standpoint. She is also a little confused about this whole debate.
I don't understand your debate. Like, what are you debating if the fat people are telling you it makes their life better?
Does somebody need to hold up the prompt for these people so they remember exactly why they're here? Jillian seems to not be debating if fat people are happier being obese or if it makes their life better. She's saying that obesity has these risks. If someone says they're happy being fat, who am I to say,
no, you're not. You are not happy being fat because I wouldn't be happy being fat, and my opinion is
Just like that quote, nothing tastes better than skinny, or nothing's happier than being skinny. You know what I mean. Who am I to say that those people aren't happy not eating just because food brings me joy? Anyway, I don't know why Paula made it look like she was so urgent to get up there to speak her mind, because she was confused during the whole thing.
Do you think you can be physically healthy and mentally unhealthy at the same time?
Of course, but that's not the claim.
Get her out of here. Leave. You gotta go.
I agree with
Sorry, you've been voted out by the majority.
Next, we have Leia, who gets up there and wastes absolutely no time. She knows what the claim is, and she says, I absolutely
disagree with that, I think.
And right there, immediately, the fact check pops up next to her face and says obesity is associated with a higher risk of death from all causes. They even put the BMI in there, which these people do not like. That is evil and racist. And according to Leia, it's
bullshit.
This whole interview was so interesting because as someone who watched My Biggest Loser like every single week, I was tuned in, especially because I was trying to lose weight, and I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. And I'm just used to seeing Jillian Michaels always yelling, screaming, emotional, pointing, screaming in people's faces, and she remained calm the whole time. And the body positive people were very just loud. And the louder they got, the more jumbled up their points they tried to make just got jumbled up with a whole bunch of other stuff that didn't make any sense or didn't attack the claim that Jillian Michaels made.
Because it's a TikTok thing that's like, cortisol face or whatever.
It's but not, please, just listen back to me.
Study. They talked over her. They were extremely upset. I have only seen little clips of what Jillian Michaels have been saying, so I can't really speak from like someone who watches her. I barely watched her outside of The Biggest Loser and haven't really heard of her or heard about her in years. But I was expecting, hard-ass Jillian Michaels, and she spoke in a very therapeutic voice. This was basically Jillian Michaels cosplaying as a therapist to 20 people who are upset that they're obese, but they're just covering it up with body positivity.
A person could be in a larger body and be perfectly healthy.
They say things like that, but then they never come up with any type of evidence. And every time Jillian will pull up data, there will be that donkey from Family Guy saying, no. Jillian even said, I'm down for being wrong about this, if you can show me the data.
Show me the data. I'm not going to argue with that. It's not healthy to do that either. That's still not the claim.
But they never can. They just keep getting voted out. But before this girl was voted out, she said something that will have her trending on TikTok a lot. And it's a little sad as a nutritionist.
I don't encourage weight loss because it's unethical.
Huh? So if Tammy Slayton about 3 years ago walked into your practice and said, what should I do? You would hand her the pill of body positivity and positive reaffirmations like what Lizzo did when she was talking to her gut.
Have you paid attention to yourself today? Have you shown yourself some love today?
I'm just a little curious as to what she means by that. Anyway, she got voted out. Jillian's next claim is
The large food companies are one of the primary beneficiaries of the body positivity movement.
I wasn't very interested in this one. Nothing extreme happened, but Jillian was pretty much saying that the big billion-dollar food companies are the ones that are more benefiting from this financially. It was pretty much the same routine of people giving their backstories, but in this one, they wanted to make sure that Jillian knew, no, we are the ones that are the main beneficiaries. And they seemed extremely upset that Jillian thought that the billion-dollar companies are making bank out of people who are living in a larger body and loving it, or according to Jillian, pretending to love it, and eat a lot of the food that gets them to be that size.
We are the main people. We are the main beneficiaries of the body positivity movement.
If y'all are making billions of dollars on this movement, you could have fooled me, because a lot of these people are saying that they can't afford medical and that's why they're fat. Anyway, okay, I guess I learned something new. One of the two biggest things that happened in this claim was the crowd getting very, very mad at Jillian for using the O word.
You would. I don't know what words you guys feel comfortable with.
We've been using fat for 57 years. So
Fat's okay to use? Okay.
Yeah. If you looked at the screen, not only is Edie voting this lady out, but she's also mouthing, yes, of course fat's better to use. And I can't help but think back to all the times. Well, one, the first time that this movement told me that obesity is a bad word and I'm awful and stupid and dumb, especially as a Black woman for using it, you need to use the F word, fat, and I started titling all of my videos with the F word, and then all of a sudden the same people from this community got mad at me. So you know, it can be very confusing online. So if you're ever wondering, wow, Michelle, why do you keep using the fat word? You know, the F word. It's so harmful. No, 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 no. Now you can see that from this video, so many of them are very, very passionate about using fat because they've been using it for 57 years. I haven't been on this earth for 57 years. I know when I was bigger and people called me fat, I would be very, very upset. And then I would find myself boob deep in a bowl of ramen noodles and hot Cheetos. But you know, they told me to do it and I do everything people tell me to do. The second interesting that happened and very funny thing that happened in this claim was that Edie had to sprint right back on up just to correct Jillian on her phrase of healthy at every size.
It's health at every size, not healthy at every size.
Did everybody hear that? You get the clarification? It's health at every size, not healthy at every size. So, is there anything else you wanted to say, Edie?
I personally believe you can be healthy at any size.
So then you sprinting up very urgently to correct her really wasn't needed. Anyway, they ran out of time on that one and got to the next claim.
Next surrounded claim is that the body positivity movement oversimplifies eating and trauma.
Also, I hope you guys who are watching understand that I've been censoring out this right here. Know that we're censoring that because YouTube doesn't allow you to say that word. They're quick. They will demonetize you very, very quickly. So we can't say it, but I wanted to clarify now that we're like, what, 20 minutes into the video? We're not talking about erectile dysfunction, which I can say for some reason. I think maybe I should censor that out too. I'm not too sure. The word list just keeps growing. Anyway, so the next claim is that the body positivity movement kind of oversimplifies these like actual issues that people have. For example, BED, that's when you binge, something that I have. And whenever I talk about counting calories, which has helped me immensely, not cure my BED, but like really stop me from eating out of trash cans and eating whole cheesecakes, because I got the information and nutritional like education that I needed from looking at packages and nutrition labels. And I can say, oh, this is a high calorie food. I can't have a whole plate of that. But if I switch this with this lower calorie food that still totals up to about like my whole plate, my stomach will be full, and if I'm full, I don't binge. According to a lot of these people, even counting calories is going to make you have an ED. Not the one I have. That doesn't exist to these people. You are going to just wither away. So in my opinion, yes, I think they oversimplify these types of things when it comes to like my personal issue. First up was Samantha, who one, would not shut up, but two, she kind of tried to do a whole gotcha moment with Jillian Michaels and was like, oh, did you have, you know, like problems growing up with being fat? Like we all have? And Jillian said,
definitely as a kid, would overeat. I wouldn't say binge, but I would compulsively overeat. I would eat have a connection with my father. I would eat to feel a sense of comfort.
Which was so funny. You'll see later on in the not the documentary, but the debate, if that's what you want to call it. That would be something, if you actually watched The Biggest Loser, that you would know about Jillian Michaels. She used to be a lot heavier. She was very heavy. She would eat a lot. And almost every single person that came up on this panel would talk about The Biggest Loser, and many of them didn't watch it. We'll get to the girl that was really pissed at Jillian soon, but Samantha got voted out very quickly. Mostly because she couldn't shut up, and I was trying to understand, like, what is the point she's trying to get across when it came to the claim?
I had from a really young age and then just worsened because of my physical perception around people, but it wasn't something that innately was trauma-based. I am neurodivergent and it was never diagnosed until I was...
Then Summer was next, who had some kind of like medical condition where her boobs just kept growing. So at 8 years old, she had a double D and it made her feel like she was obese. And she also didn't know what the prompt was, but she had her own question she wanted to get answered by Jillian Michaels.
Why do you care so much about someone else's body in order to like try and argue against body positivity?
So Jillian had to remind her that's not the prompt, but I'll answer your question. She pretty much explained that she is not here to help the next Joe Schmo off the street that fully wants to be in this group, but she has helped people who want to change, and the community makes their disorder when it comes to food even worse.
Tried to personally help that have experienced feeling misled, misguided by some of the, or almost all of the intuitive eating principles.
And Summer comes back and says, well, your show is the one that affected me.
TV shows like The Biggest Losers. In the UK, we've got Super Size versus Super Skinny. Like, it was all of these TV shows that made me feel like this.
She also got voted out very quickly from her peers.
Voted out by the majority.
And you're probably wondering, where is the glimmer of hope for the body positive people to just make them look like they know what they're talking about instead of talking from an emotional standpoint? Where is that person? And then we get Layla, who makes that glimmer of hope just dim even more. Her whole thing was pretty much, no one knows how to solve obesity.
Nobody has the answer.
That is not true.
She also got voted out very quickly. And then we get to Marcy, and she wastes absolutely no time. She sits down and says, look, Jillian,
I've been on a diet since I was like 6.
So she knows exactly what she's talking about. She was engulfed in diet culture from the ripe young age of 6 years old. Now, before we get to Marcy, who's the most shared out of all of the people that were on here, you need to understand that Marcy, she knows her shit, okay? She's tried everything. She's done everything. She's been dedicated. Her parents were very fat phobic and tried to make her go on a diet. She knows what The Biggest Loser is. She is very well spoken to talk about this issue with Jillian Michaels and is not gonna embarrass herself at all. Mostly because
I've read a lot of diet books, Jillian.
Once again, I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't think they worked. Just like the diet Twinkies her mom gave her that she talked about in the beginning of the video. So Marcy was bringing up all the spots. She brought up genetics, which wasn't the claim, but Jillian Michaels was up to talk about it if she wanted to.
Do you want to take on genetics? We can.
Go ahead. Are you a scientist?
Bam! A Marcy zinger. Got her. This is something they always do. They ask like, oh, are you a doctor? Are you a scientist? Well, then whatever you're saying is probably not true. But then if a doctor or a scientist says it, they're like, nope, no, 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 no. Jillian makes another mistake and says the O word. Marcy does not like that.
First of all, obesity is a very outdated term.
Jillian makes another damn mistake. Dang it, Jillian. And brings up the BMI, which Marcy does not like because
it's based on white men.
So they were talking about how like certain tools can determine how much body fat you have and how that is going to increase your health risks when it comes to certain, you know, the list of things that they said could happen when you have excess amount of body fat around your brain and organs, which I don't know about you, that would give me so much anxiety. These people are just like, oh no, it's fine. I would like be anxious if I had a lot of fat around my heart and my brain. I'd be anxious if I had a lot of fat around my toe. Anyway, Jillian is very calmly explaining these things. And she brought up things like BMI, and that's when Marcy was like, no, that's not, no, that was created by white dudes to keep women oppressed. It's super outdated. And so Jillian says, well, we have other things like a DEXA. And Marcy, the smart one of the group, says,
what's a DEXA?
DEXA
are normal people. We are on TikTok.
I thought you said that you read books. It looks like she's just on TikTok, as she said. She also was upset about the MRI machine that Jillian said is also another indicator that we can find certain things in obese bodies.
What are the MRI, meaning like the machine most fat people don't even fit in?
Let me just say, if I couldn't fit into a machine, especially as big as an MRI machine, I would not be on a show trying to debate Jillian Michaels whether or not obesity is healthy. I'd probably just be at home trying to take the steps forward to be able to fit into an MRI machine. So all of these machines was really upsetting Marcy, and Jillian was just trying to explain it's just an indicator of what's going on with your body. It's not like a personal stab or anything to make you feel less of a human. It's just something to show you what's going on with your body, especially when it comes to obese people. And Marcy asks,
so obesity, that term, what does that mean to you?
And Jillian just goes in, it just means that you have a very high amount, a very unhealthy amount of body fat on your body. And Marcy comes around and says,
what is healthy?
And she kind of grills Jillian Michaels on what is healthy and what is unhealthy, because in this world, there's no such thing. But Jillian answers and said, when you have a certain percentage of fat on your body, that is considered unhealthy. And then Marcy just starts saying how much she hated The Biggest Loser. But then after her whole spiel about The Biggest Loser, we then find out,
I've never seen a full episode of The Biggest Loser.
Girl, what? Marcy revealed that she's only seen the 30-second clips on TikTok. And if you remember from earlier, that's pretty much what she watches, along with all the diet books that she supposedly reads, which I'm just gonna say, I don't believe that she actually reads them. I think she's more on TikTok. So next we get Rachel. She's a body positive personal trainer. And honestly, right when she came up, I thought that she was gonna just break down in tears. And she really believes in things like positive affirmations. And if you don't like something about yourself and you just look into the mirror, and if you say it enough times, you're gonna start believing it. And Jillian is like, no, that's not really gonna work for things that you really actually don't like. And this girl is like, no, it will. And Jillian asks,
how? By looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself, I'm beautiful.
It's not gonna work, kid.
That's an
SNL skit.
When I was listening to this part, I was trying to put myself in every single person's shoes, but with her, I tried to envision this. I'm 5'2", I was 180 pounds, and I really did not like how I looked physically. I liked my face when I did my makeup correctly and actually took the time, but body-wise, no amount of looking in the mirror and telling myself, I love this, I like this is great, would have worked. If I was 180 pounds right now, I would still not like it, no matter how much I put positive affirmations and rub my belly and my gut and my fupa like Lizzo did in her positive affirmation video. And clearly that didn't work because she's losing her gut. She didn't love it that much. So then the debate ended, but then the announcer said, Jillian, you can pick one person that you talk to and that you would like to elongate the conversation. And she picks Marcy. And Marcy starts talking about The Biggest Loser again, the show that she didn't watch fully. And Jillian has to tell her, these people were in life and death situations. They didn't get on the show because they didn't want to lose weight. They wanted to lose weight because their life was in jeopardy. It was life and death.
First of all, that is a life or death intervention on a ticking clock.
And Marcy looks at her and says,
but do you look at me and see a life or death need for an intervention right now?
And I don't think Marcy thought that Jillian was gonna give her real answer. I think Marcy thought that Jillian was gonna be like, no, you look great. You know how they do when it comes to body positivity? They see someone who's clearly very obese, literally unhealthy physically, and say, don't worry about what people say. You look great. Take off your shirt and shake it around. Let's do jiggle affirmations together.
Thank you for making me happy. Thank you for being my other brain.
And then there's just a bunch of chunky girls with their shirts off, jewling around, which I'm not against it. Shake whatever your mama gave you or whatever hot Cheetos and a bunch of copious amounts of food gave you. But when I was bigger and I was insecure, this is my own, issue, but I was insecure about my belly, you couldn't pay me to try and accept that. Because I knew in my brain, even though I loved food so much, and I still think it's very fun to overeat, you could not pay me to actually believe that because it wasn't true. Anyway, Jillian says, yeah, I can look at you and you got issues.
Be honest.
Yeah.
You might.
I do.
Marcy being called back into the extra debate was the part where she talked about she didn't know she was on a diet until she asked her mom for ding dongs, and her mom got her the diet ding dongs, and she knew it because the wrapper was different than the one she saw at school.
Low fat ding dongs aren't wrapped in foil.
And then after the foil wrapped diet ding dong rant that Marcy went on, she goes on another rant about just trying to live her life in a fat body, and she can't go about her fat business without Ozempic being thrusted down her throat.
Back
thinner.
Listen to
I have
me.
to take a GLP-1. Serena
Listen to
Williams
me.
is selling me a GLP-1.
I see these people complaining about Serena Williams so much, and they are so threatened by her being on a GLP-1. This is from the fitness industry too. People are really upset that she's taking a GLP-1. Her taking a GLP-1 doesn't do shit to me. Like, I thought these people were positive in their bodies. It sounds like these people need to look in the mirror a little bit more. Like, I keep hearing about Serena Williams and I'm just very confused. What do you think is gonna happen? She's gonna come out the TV screen and force you to take Ozempic? You know we gotta do it.
Quick, you need to get out of here. Oh no, she's here. No! Whoa, I feel great. Michelle, I'm not obese anymore. No, you should have just loved your body like I said in my TikToks.
Anyway, that's exactly what I think they think will happen. But Marcy has had enough. She is very, very secure with herself, clearly. She's very body positive. She loves herself. She loves the way she looks. And she's very confident. We know this because she entered the debate like this.
I'm over here like, I own a plus size fashion store. I look like the first fat housewife of Beverly Hills. I'm gorgeous. I got they, thems, he's, she's coming out of my ears. I can anybody on the street.
No, I don't know if I gave you the wrong idea, Marcy, but I am not interested. Okay, we are not gonna be scissoring up in here. I don't know what kind of idea I gave you. Anyway, that's how you know you're worthy, if you can, get fucked by anybody, I guess. Oh, and she also wanted to make sure that everyone knew.
I am healthy.
But then Jillian asked a few more questions and we find out that she in fact has just a few little minor details that might show that she's not exactly healthy. Once Jillian asks her if doctors tested you, what would they find?
There would be some fatty liver stuff coming up.
Okay.
Sure, you're the
Do you
cholesterol.
So then you're not healthy? What am I saying? Of course she's healthy because unhealthy doesn't exist in this space. So yeah, that was a Jubilee debate of Jillian Michaels versus 20 body positive activists. And the majority has spoken. Even the people that cannot stand Jillian Michaels say she absolutely killed it. Just like a fatty liver might kill these people. Actually, they continued this talk on a part 2, Jillian Michaels and Marcy.
As long as it is okay to discriminate against fat people, I'm always gonna want to fight for that fight. You can fight that fight in any size pant.
I'm not gonna watch it. I felt so drained after watching this whole debate because it's on the same level of Lung Doctor debates 20 smokers. Doctor Now debates 20 contestants from My 600-Pound Life. Anybody debates people who like to do cocaine.
I am healthy.
It just doesn't make any sense and it shouldn't be a debate because it's dumb. Anyway, when it comes to Marcy, I feel like she was someone that had so much anger and I think she enjoyed talking to Jillian Michaels because I don't think she likes being obese. I'm sorry. Fat. I don't think she likes it. I think she wants to lose weight. She's just super stubborn. She's also probably very angry and she needs to release all of that. Did I show you guys her like weight loss release thing?
Release.
No.
Oh, my trauma.
No, a perspective
I've released
shift.
it and therefore then I will be thin.
Yeah, her like, I don't know what that was, but I feel like she's like under the influence. I'm not too sure, but that's what she did. You guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy the little Barbie skits, I have a whole channel. Some people have said it's like if Robot Chicken and South Park had a baby. We just made a real Barbie movie, how it should have been for adults. I had some YouTubers voice characters, I had some subscribers voice characters, I had Garrett voice characters, and had a really fun time writing the script, adding the music, doing all the things. Very fun, very creative. If you want to just have a little chuckle, check it out. I'll link it below and at the end of this video as well. And I will see all of you guys in the next video.
I'm a gym girly, love lifting heavy, doing all the curling. I live for the pump, my biceps looking plump. I'm a gym girl.